whistle. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Well, guys, welcome to another episode of the Morning Skate. Ked here, joined by my co-host Brownie, and we have one of the most electric defensemen probably ever played in the National Hockey League. I'd give anything for him to be playing now. He's a 4-time Olympian, 3 medals. He has a gold, a silver, and a bronze. He was elected into the Russian and Soviet Hockey Hall of Fame in 2016. 28 career Olympic games played is a record among Russian national team members. He played with the Islanders, Penguins, the Avalanche, my New York Rangers. Welcome to the Morning Skate, Darius Kasparaitis. How's it going, buddy?
Good. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for agreeing to do this. Big thrill for us.
Yeah, I've been Brownie's been doing some research, and we have everything written down. I can't wait to dive into your career and just talk shop. So I guess first things first, man. Growing up, like, how did you get into hockey? Like, what was hockey just your life immediately as a little kid, or like how did that all happen?
Well, I was born in a little town in Lithuania, and we had a first indoor ice rink built in my town. So what happened around age 8, one of the coaches came to our school and asked who wants to play hockey. And I said, why not? Let me try. And I just loved, seeing older kids in my neighborhood wearing a hockey gear. I thought it was so cool, They looked very, invincible, and I love that about hockey. So that's why I joined the hockey group, and that's how my hockey career started. I was 8 years old. First time I started skating as an 8-year-old. I remember I never skated before, and I thought it was going to be terrible, but I started skating very good right away. So I think that was God's gift for me to play hockey.
Did you fall in love with it like immediately as soon as you put the skates on? You're kind of wheeling around out there. You're like, this is meant for me.
No. I stepped on the ice, and I thought I was going to fall down, but I just and it was I don't know why, because my first skates were figure skates, and my dad cut the front teeth of the figure skates off, and it became a hockey skate. But I started skating with the figure skates, so maybe that's why it was maybe easier. I don't know, but I felt very comfortable right away.
You don't hear many NHLers say that they started at age 8 and kept it going. That's amazing. Like you said, a gift from God.
I guess so. Always still up to this day, I always ask myself, why me? Because I grew up in a country where there's no hockey, as Lithuania, and I started playing there, and then I was fortunate enough to be, discovered by a Soviet system in Moscow that gave me a chance to, get better, and took me there, and put me, in this great system as a Dynamo Moscow team. So I think I got lucky there. But otherwise, I always ask me and Daniel Zubers. We've been both born in the same town, and we left a long time ago, and we're still looking for the next generation NHL hockey player to represent Lithuania in the league. But so far, is no talent. No one's. It's coming near.
Yeah, no. So you leave Lithuania, you go to Dynamo Moscow. Was it kind of rough leaving your family, kind of thing? Like, what was that transition like? I think you were 14.
Yeah, I was 14 after I finished the grades in Lithuania. In the beginning, I was excited because it was cool to go and play in Dynamo Moscow. That was a dream come true for any athlete, hockey player that grew up in the small towns of Soviet Union or anywhere. I felt very, special. But yeah, when I moved there, it was hard. My first 2 years was very hard because I missed home. I was homesick a lot. I was just still a baby, and I think. Maybe around age 16, I realized that being free and being without your parents is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think I discovered beer and the girls, so it became much easier, to cope with being alone.
Well, growing up in that time in Lithuania, was the NHL even on your radar? Did you get any NHL games growing up? Did you get to see it, or is the Red Army like the biggest ticket or the biggest draw?
I think we start watching late '80s. It was Soviet teams going to play NHL teams. That's what we saw on TV. But I never thought about NHL at all. Until maybe 90, 91. When
Wow.
the Soviet Union started falling apart and guys started leaving, and then I was like, wow. Some guys got drafted, and I realized about. I think my first time I started thinking about it, maybe the World Juniors in 1990 in Regina, I think, Saskatchewan, or it was somewhere in Canada. And people were coming up to you and say, yeah, maybe one day you're going to play NHL. And, I never thought about it until 90s, and then it happened so fast. 92 I got drafted, and a month later I was playing in the league already.
Did you have a player like growing up that you kind of looked after and idolized where you're like, that's my guy? Like, did you have a favorite player or a player that you wanted to craft your game around?
Not really. I follow, the Soviet team because, it was easy to watch them because they beat everybody all the time. So, I kind of, want to, you love the style they play, the finesse, the beautiful. They made the game look so beautiful, And I just, I didn't really, had the one guy who I idolized. I was still young probably, and I just. I was just happy to be in the system that I can become somebody. And my first game I played pro in Russia I was 16 years old. So maybe I start thinking about my own identity. But of course, I follow a lot of great players before me, like Slava Fetisov, Alex Kasatonov, guys in Dynamo or older guys that I like how they play. But otherwise, I kind of, try to be myself right from the beginning, because the way I played and the way I behave and try to survive on a daily basis, being away from my home and being, in a big, being with the adults, basically.
Yeah, that Red Army team, it was very much like a 5-man unit, possessed the puck, heavy cycle game. And they didn't ideally the other team didn't touch the puck.
Listen, I played my first game in Soviet League. I was 16. They put me in a lineup. I sat on the bench all game, and maybe they let me out maybe for 3 shifts at the end of the game because the game was 5-1, I think. And we were playing Red Army team. Dynamo Moscow was playing Red Army team. And all those guys were on the team, Fetisov, Kasatonov, Makarov, Larionov, Krutov, Kamensky, Bykov, all those guys I watched on TV. I was like, basically skating with them in the same ring and playing in the same game. I was so nervous. I remember I couldn't even. I was speechless. The one thing was good about it. The next day, we didn't have internet yet. So next day was a newspaper, and they show lineups for the game the night before, and my name was, in newspaper. So I went to school and I showed all my classmates. And some guys watched on TV because it was televised. So it was kind of cool thing, as a 16-year-old. 8 years ago, I was just like putting my skates on first time, and 8 years later, I was playing in the biggest league in the Soviet Union, and maybe one of the toughest teams that can play anybody in the world.
No, that's crazy. And something that I looked up, and I don't know if it's entirely accurate. It's more of a hockey DB thing, but I was looking at your numbers in World Junior when you're younger and stuff, and I saw like 10 penalty minutes, 8 penalty minutes, whatever it might be. And then your first year in the league, you were well over 100. Was there something when you got into the National Hockey League where you're like, I need to start pissing people off? I need to start banging bodies? Like, was there a transition at any point where you're like, I need to be more physical, or were like those numbers wrong before? Because I feel like that's something, if you're going to be physical, you're born that. I feel like you can't really develop that. Like you have that, I'm better than you. You're going to have to earn getting past me kind of a thing. So physical and being like that agitator always a part of like your skill set, or is that something that developed over time?
Well, I grew up in a system that physicality was not part of the game, but naturally I was already, since the first time I started playing hockey, I realized, hitting was one of the biggest talents I had, because it was easy for me to find people, even at the kids level. I remember if I ever get frustrated, I would hit somebody, because it was naturally and easy to do. But when I came to the league and I played my first couple of NHL games, and I started throwing my body around, because it was so easy for me to do that. I don't know why, because the ice was much smaller, and ice rink was smaller, and I consider myself I was a good skater. And and the hip check start working very good. So what happened, I realized people appreciate that style of game. So that's why I started, throwing more hits in NHL, because I was appreciated by fans. And then suddenly, I became this, pain in the ass player. And that's why I think I had so many penalty minutes, because a lot of them were like minors, coincidentally, like coal miners. If I hit
Yeah.
somebody, somebody punches me in the face, and maybe I punch him back or something like that. But my first year was very unique. I developed my style, I think, in NHL, and people loved it. So I realized, wow, why not? I felt pressure of hitting people actually more than scoring goals, because I feel people expected me to lay out a big hit every game. So I started feeling pressure later in my career. But in the beginning, my first year was easy. I was just a young kid running around and hitting anybody that was near me.
I love the fact that when you came into the league, because I remember when you came into the league, that it wasn't like you were hitting the guys that normally didn't get hit
Yeah.
and you weren't supposed to touch. And I love the fact that you didn't have that governor on your game. You know what I mean? You were like, yeah, well, if you have the puck, I'm going to hit you. Like Mario Lemieux, I still think he's still surprised for what you did to him in that first time around in the playoffs.
Well, listen, I'm telling you, hockey is a show. So when you play at home, you want to put it at the show. And the best way to put it at the show is to go after the best players on our team. And I feel that's why people appreciated me, because they knew that I didn't give a shit about who's playing on a team, as long as have a puck, or as long as you had a puck maybe 2 seconds before, you're gonna get hit. And I love doing that. I love, getting crowd going, but also I love other teams to get pissed and try to concentrate on me instead of playing the game. And I realized that was some kind of talent too, because to play that way and make the other team take penalties on you and put our team on a power play, it was, I think it was appreciated by my teammates.
No, for sure. So you were drafted 5th overall in the 92 draft to the Islanders. You started out, you definitely made a name for yourself, and you got to play with some pretty big names. Just to name a few: Pierre Turgeon, Wendell Clark, Marty Straka, Matthew Schneider. Um, was there like a huge adjustment? I mean, you mentioned it being on a smaller ice surface, but playing against NHL guys, was there any like, oh shit kind of moment for you? Or did you felt you were right at home and like, let's get going?
I don't really, I don't really thought that way. I came in and I tried to, I thought I was gonna go to the minors for first couple, weeks to get adjusted, but they put me in the game right away. I came, I think, October 6th, and the first game was October 8th, or maybe I came October 4th. And after 2 days being in this country, they put me in the first game against New Jersey Devils. I just, I basically had nothing to lose. I just came in and said, "Listen, let me play, have fun," and I realized it was not that hard. I just, play my game, and I had a lot of great teammates. I think my first team, 92, 93 Islanders, was the best team for me to join, because the guys, we have so many good characters. We didn't, except Pierre Torjan maybe. We didn't have the many, big name players, but the guys we had on the team, they were a lot of character teams, like Steve Thomas, Benoit Hogg, Patrick Flatley, Glenn Healy. Those two are like comedians. They Ray Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? If you look at that team, the 92, 93 team, I think that's why we have success, because we are so tight as a unit. We went out together, we hang out together, we had a lot of fun as a team, and I think the first year was one. I can name all the teammates on my team at that year. If you go further down my career, I don't think I can remember half of them. But the first team was very big. They grabbed me, and they made me feel comfortable. They made fun of me. They let me know when I was wrong. If I did something wrong, they very nice bunch of guys. They told me a lot of things. They taught me a lot of things as a rookie in the league and as a new man in a new country.
Yeah, that must have been tough. You didn't have the language, and then coming into a new team with a lot of veterans, like you said. Was there someone who kinda took you under their wing specifically? Someone kinda showed you the ropes?
Yeah, younger guys like Scarlett Chance was my roommate. We're same age. We play against each other in the juniors. He played for the United States. I played for Russia. So he took me to the under his wing. We watched TV together. I had the dictionary, so he used to always explain to me all the words that I didn't know. And then Travis Green and Matty McInnes, we kind of hang out together because we're youngest guys. So it was fun. My first year was fun.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I wanted to ask you too, you had Al Arbor when you broke in, but then you ended up with Mike Milbury. What kind of a shift was that coaching wise? That's two very different temperaments, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and especially Al Arbor, he was a perfect coach for the rookie like me, because he knew that I was a little wild man. And I had a lot of fun my first 2 years, but he was my coach. So he always gave me this tough love. If I didn't, had a good game, it would give me tough love, but next day he would always come in, give me a hug, and explain to me. So he was a perfect coach for me, And when Mike Milbury came in, I knew it was a big change, because Mike was coming from a different system. Was not an Islander; he was a Bruin. So I think that was a change. And also, Mike had different ideas. And it just happened that Mike traded me too to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I had nothing against Mike Milbury. He was also was a character coach.
Big personality.
Big personality, and we had a lot of fun. But he also was sometimes tough to play. Because he demanded a lot, and he always expressed his opinion very loudly. So a lot of guys were arguing with him, So we had some good stuff and bad stuff, but Mike was I have no hard feelings. I have only respect for him.
Did you have any idea you were going to get traded, or was it completely out of the blue? What was that like?
You have to ask Mike Milbury. I think that was some kind of weird story. I think Spano, the fake owner of New York Islanders, was a good friend. Was a good friends with Mario Lemieux or something like that, or they played golf together. So what happened? I remember Mike Milbury specifically told me 2 days before we're I think flying back from some kind of road trip or preseason game. I don't remember, and he told me that as long as he's on a team, I will never get traded. I'll be his boy because he loved the way I play, he loved the passion I have for the game. And 2 days later, he calls me 9 o'clock at night. I was packing for a California trip, and he says, "I'm sorry, I let you know that you got traded to Pittsburgh Penguins." I was like, "Mike, you serious? You're joking?" He told me, "Yeah, that you have to report to the airport and go to Pittsburgh." I was crying because I was shocked. And I realized right now, or I heard the stories that Spano called, Pittsburgh called Spano called Mike and told Mike to trade me for the forward, something like that. So basically,
Smolinski, yeah.
Yeah, I know Smolinski, but I think the trade happened because Spano was a owner at that time, and I think he just made it favor or not favor. I don't know, it was a favor.
Well, Brownie mentioned earlier how you were going at it with Mario like your first few years, and then you end up in Pittsburgh. When you're walking in that locker room, where you're like, "Oh shit!" like what's gonna happen here, or like how was that transition in Pittsburgh?
That's why I was so shocked to Pittsburgh because they hated me there, and I was like, "Are you serious? I'm going to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh."
but they hated playing against you more than they hated you. That's why they wanted you.
I didn't realize that until I got traded, and I went to the locker room and I was put my head down, my tail between my how you say put my tail down, and I remember shaking all the boys' hands that I talked to. I play against, and I abused them for many years before I got traded. But they took me in very easily. I remember first practice was so easy. Nobody was wearing shoulder pads, no helmets. I was like, oh my god, coming out of the military system,
Whoa.
we were being abused every day because we sucked. And then going to Pittsburgh, which was a lot of superstars still
Yeah.
on the team at that time, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. This is like this is fun. And
Country club.
going on the plane and playing card games with your teammates. It was just such a fun. I remember fun year for me to be part of that team. And people took me in very fast. I think my first game as a Penguin, I scored a goal. I think I hit Brett Hall. We played against St. Louis Blues. They loved it. So I became a Penguin, overnight. I think I had a lot of fun, and you know, and I realized that people loved me, and that was no hard feelings again.
You
I
mentioned superstars. Sorry, Brownie.
No, good.
You got to play obviously the Mario with Yager, Ron Francis, Kevin Hatcher, Joey Mullen. I mean, that's just your first year there. What was it like playing with those guys? Was Mario just like what was it like seeing him and a young Yager just kind of wheeling around? That had to have been pretty special.
That was cool. Every time Mario walked in the locker room, you feel this, the
Like this
royalty.
aura. Yeah.
The royalty is it. So you have to watch what he say, and sometimes it's intimidating. But eventually you get used to it. And Mario was a great teammate. He was a good poker player too. He wouldn't. He was very patient when you played cards against him. So they were a bunch of great guys. And Ron Francis, Joe Mullen. It was unbelievable. I still see Joe Mullen once in a while. And he's a great human being. I remember him scoring 500 goals as an American-born player. I
Yep.
was on the team. Just seeing his passion for the game. And Jagger, of course, I played with Jagger, I think, the most in my career. I played with the Rangers. I played with the Pittsburgh with him. And Yaromir was also, very cool individual, with a little bit strange sometimes, the way he approached the game. But he did everything to, become a best player on the ice. So, you have to understand him. They did it not because he was just some kind of prima donna. He wanted to win. So he was a great leader.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got a buddy I'm in Boston. I got a buddy who still has Pittsburgh Penguins season tickets, even though he lives here. And I texted him that we were going to be interviewing you, and he just wanted to make sure that you know that you are still worshipped in Pittsburgh. They still love you there. It's that you locked in with them, and they have never let it go.
Yeah, that's why it's so cool when I go to Pittsburgh all the time. I still see people wearing my jerseys, and that makes me feel so special. Especially, I went out to the game last night, Panthers Islanders, and I actually saw the guy wearing Kasparaitis jersey. Just think about it. I left Island 1996, and still people have my jersey on, which is it's just amazing to see. And I came up to the guy. Can I take a picture with you? And he goes, yeah. And then you realize it was me. He went crazy.
Oh, that's great.
It's so I feel so appreciated that people still wear my jerseys, which is so weird. That's why I always ask myself a question. I was born in Lithuania, grew up in a small town, and now 30 years later, people still have memories of me and still wearing my jerseys. That's very special.
It just
Oh,
means
fantastic.
that you made an unreal impact. Like you were with the Rangers.
Except the Ranger fans.
Well, no, I'm a Ranger
He's
fan.
the
I
big
love
Ranger
it.
fan.
We're going to talk about
I
Bobby
don't say
Granger
the number
inside the
6
Rangers.
in the Ranger in Madison Square Garden.
No, I'll tell you what, man. That maybe some, but me and my boys were all Rangers fans, and I told them Darius Kasparaitis is coming on. They're like, no fucking way. Like people were all sorts of jacked up. I remember. We'll get into it a little bit. The Bobby Granger's Guide to the Rangers commercial, where you just dummied him because he went next to Henrik Lundqvist, just like little stuff.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get into that. But so you're in Pittsburgh now. This is where you really gave Lindros the business, correct?
Well, I just hit him a couple of times, but the one time I hit him, unfortunately, Eric got hurt. I didn't really meant to, injure him. I just finished my check, but yeah, that ended up being a big hit, and unfortunately, he had a concussion. It's a game of hockey, and we play physical sports, and it happened. But I remember the rivalry because Flyers were a very good team and we had a very good team. So every time I play the Flyers, especially back-to-back games, it was like a war. It doesn't matter if it was a playoffs or regular season. And I always try to play even harder when we play the rival games. I remember playing the Rangers. Every time you play at home, you play the big teams, or you stay rivals. People come up and they wanted to put up the show basically. So. It just happened, and I play against Legion of Dooms, Leclerc, Renberg, and Lindros. It was the hardest line to play against. They were so big, so strong, and they play physical too.
Yeah, it was a clean hit. And I heard, I don't know if this is true. This is one of those urban legends. Were you getting like death threats when you guys went to Philly?
Yeah, I was getting phone calls to my hotel room. They say they're gonna kill me. I should never leave the hotel. And the first time I got scared, I was like, wow, maybe these people are serious. And I remember going because we had a back-to-back game. We played a game in Pittsburgh, and next day we played in Philly. So I was kind of a little scared. I called. I think one of our trainers said, "Listen, these people keep calling me my room, and they telling me I can, basically." So I think we had a security waiting in the lobby next morning to take us to the game. And but nothing happened. No, I don't think uh, anything bad happened. Only every time I stepped on the ice, they run me over and try to send a message. But the game ended up being okay. I think Alex Morozov got abused more than me because he was celebrating after they hit in Pittsburgh. So they actually went after him too because if you look at the video, he's standing on the bench and clapping. Which was he didn't know he was the rookie.
Yeah.
So he got beat up too.
All you to say is clean hit. It was a clean hit.
Yeah, it's a clean hit, but it happens, and it was I think that was also the big game, so it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. I wanted to go back for one sec though. I wanted to ask you because you were on the island when Terscheron got hit by Hunter after the play.
Yeah,
Do you remember that? Do you remember that happening? I remember that as a kid, and I was like horrified at that. That was like
of
one of the
course,
worst things.
of course I remember. I remember Pierre scoring a goal and celebrating in Hunter. I think I was even on the ice. I was on the blue line, and I remember him just hitting him from behind into the boards. So yeah, it was terrible. It's sometimes guys get frustrated, and I don't think he meant to injure him. I think he meant to just push him. Whatever. It just happened that the PR got hurt. And actually, it's scary, but at the same time, it happens. We're playing a violent game sometimes.
Right. Right. I just wanted to ask about that.
I'm actually gonna see Pierre tomorrow. We're gonna play lunch hockey together.
Is he okay? Everything he was okay from that and the aftermath?
Yeah, he's fine. He had a long career and he still plays hockey for fun as I do. And tomorrow I think we have a game. I'm gonna put him on my team the way I don't have to hit him.
So you're with Pittsburgh for a while, and then you ended up traded to Colorado. You were only there for a little bit, but what was your experience like in Colorado?
Well, that was coming to the team that won a cup before the year before. It was a lot of expectations. The team was great, man. There was such a weird change going from east to west. The travel was different. I thought the guys were a little bit more geekier in the west. I don't know. They watch Price is Right every morning skate. I was like, what the hell's going on here? they drank baby formula before the games because of the high altitude. It just, but the guys were so professional. There was a totally different going from Pittsburgh that I think we are not doing well when I left and going to this Stanley Cup contender with all the great players on the team. Forsberg, Sakic, Blake, Adam Foote, Patrick Roy. He was just like it was like nerve wracking for me. I was like, wow. Sometimes I didn't even know why they got me. I didn't. I think I played good hockey, but I didn't play as much as I expected. And the other part was weird that they didn't want me to hit.
Oh.
They want me to play more physical game, but without leaving my zone and try to find a big hit. They want me to use my stick first and then finish my checks, which was very confusing, and I didn't, I was just happy to having a chance to win the cup, but eventually we lost to Detroit, Game 7, and that team, fell through. But honestly, it was a lot of cool experience to play in Colorado.
There's another rumor that when you came to the Rangers, and again, I don't know if this is true, did Eric Lindros reach out to you on like midnight of the first day of free agency to say, "Hey, come on over"?
Yeah, it was Don Maloney came in first. He gave me a video about New York Rangers. It was kind of cool, a little give back. And then Eric called me and say, "Listen, there was no hard feelings. I
Wow.
really love you to have you as a teammate. If it'd be cool if you join the Rangers." And it was very awesome to hear Eric call me and tell me there is no hard feelings, and it's just a game of hockey. And we became a good teammates. We had so much fun together for a couple of years as the Rangers. And Eric is a very funny guy. Sometimes when you play against somebody, you think it's like very serious and very close, circle person, but he was very goofy and very funny guy.
Yeah, and I mean, Lindros, you and Messier had some battles back in the day too. You got to play with him for a little bit. What was it like playing with Mark Messier? He's probably my all-time favorite.
Mark is he's a true born leader. You can tell. It's not like you don't really afraid of him as you're afraid of Lemieux, for example. He comes to luck, but Mark, he didn't say much, but he always said the right things. And I got to play with Mark. I think he was almost 40 years old or something like that, but he still represented himself as a very true professional. He worked hard and he cared about the team. I also played with Brian Leach, which was also very good, leader and quiet leader, but very good when it came to the game time. He played hard. He blocked shots. He was a great teammate also. So you move around as a player. So sometimes when you play tough against somebody on the other team, but then you become a teammate. Nobody, I think, remembers that. They know that you play hard because you want to win, and they want you to play exactly the same way as you play against them to play for them.
Yeah. No, and you mentioned Leach, and you had Adam Foote in Colorado, and obviously, I mean, you just had Matthew Schneider in Pittsburgh, all these big names. Question for you: if you could pick any player, you could either played with them or never played with them before, who would be like your ultimate guy that you'd want to be paired up with playing defense?
Would I play with as my teammate or as my partner?
As your partner, as your teammate, you and him are out on the ice at the same time. Anybody, who would you pick?
I gotta throw the name that maybe you probably heard. Ian Moran was my partner in work. Ian Moran, he was the best partner I ever had because you know what, the guy talked. He helped me so much as a partner. I think my one of the best years I had in Pittsburgh because I played with him. I was a left D, he was a right D, and we constantly hang out together. We watched videos together. And when we played, he was so helpful, because he always talked to me. I talked to him, and I felt like I always he watches my back, and I had a good couple of years with Ian as my partner.
Interesting. Okay,
it's good to hear. Former Bruin, I'm the Bruins guy, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you're in New York. You're playing with all these big names. I mean, Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket. That guy could fly. Kovalev. You had Richter in net, at least in the beginning. Did you enjoy your time in New York? I know the fans can definitely be kind of brutal, but did you have fun being a Ranger?
Well, it was fun, First of all, playing in Madison Square Garden, it was, every game I walked up to the ramp to the seventh floor. I was always amazed. I can't believe I'm playing here almost every day, and you watch the shows or watch the basketball games, and I play in Madison Square Garden on a daily basis. That was a kind of cool thing. Yeah, it was a lot of pressure in the beginning because suddenly, from being I came from being a hard-nosed player. Everybody loves to have them, and suddenly now all the media, they talk about my salary. If I have a bad game, it's my salary. If I have a good game, nobody mentions anything. So it was hard a couple of years as a Ranger because I got the big paycheck and suddenly I don't know why people start thinking that I can play better than I played before.
Yeah, it's not. Well, first off, it's not your fault that you're signing these contracts, and second off, you would think they'd probably go after a guy like Bobby O'Luke. I think Bobby O'Luke signed a 9.5 banger a year or something like that coming off from the Devils. So contracts were all over the place.
You know what? I remember I'm telling you a true story. When my agent called me and told me how much money they offer me, and I told him it's too much money. I don't think and he told me don't tell anybody.
Your agent's like, stop.
You crazy? I doubled my expectations. I thought if I'm gonna make $2 million a year, I'd be the happiest hockey player ever. They gave me 4. I was like, wow. So it was, of course, it was pressure. You felt like you have to make something magical happen. That's why I created Stick Salute.
We got that on the list. We were gonna ask about that.
They got something for me.
That's the big one. That's a big thing that it's still done. Now, I know that was the first time for New York, but was anyone doing that anywhere else in the United States or North America?
No, I don't know if anybody did it before. I did it in Europe. I know in Europe we appreciate the fans sometimes after the game with raising a sticks, but not in the middle. Let's just go and basically wave to the crowd. But when we did it in New York, people loved it. So we started doing it after every game that we won, and suddenly became a habit for our team. And then
Everywhere,
everybody does it. The most teams. Now, Carolina took it to the next level, of course. But that's cool. That's cool that guys have fun with that. Because people come to watch you play, but people also want to watch things and see players' personalities. And I think what Carolina does now is, or Islanders, I think, also do some crazy stuff sometimes. So I think it's cool, that we don't just go play and we got our game face on and we leave the stadium and try to go back into our personal lives, but we kind of give back to the fans, and the fans love that,
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
That's awesome. All these years later, they're still doing that. Like that's you left.
It's gonna stay. Listen, it's gonna stay there forever. Come on.
Yeah, I know. That's so cool.
I think what happened to the Maple Leafs? They tried to stop doing that, and they got ripped by the fans because they were doing Stick Salute, and then one day they got upset or something. They were losing or something, and they didn't do it, and they got basically, all this. And they start doing it again.
So in 04-05, there's a lockout, and you go and play for, oh boy, Kazan AK Bars, 28 games played, goal, 3 assists, 4 points with 118 PIMs in just, again, 28 games. You got to play with Ilya Kovalchuk, Vinny Lecavalier, Brad Richards, Danny Heatley, Hobby Bulin. Was that just like going to an all-star team? Those names are insane.
Yeah, our team was stacked. Too bad that we didn't do very well. Because I think that it was hard, man. When people assemble a team in that short period of time, and you have 20 games only to get ready for the playoffs. I think it's hard to get the some guys came even later. Richards came, and like Cavalier came, Danny Heatley thing also.
Yeah.
It was they call the Russian Rangers. I came from the Rangers, and they call Akbar's Kazan also the Rangers because we had all this big name players, but we didn't do well at that year. So it was disappointing. It was a big disappointment. But you know what? It's something to people gonna remember because there's so many good star quality players on the same team, and I don't think nobody's gonna ever match it in Russia again because I feel like our team had at least 10 people that play in NHL, and a lot of them had a good success.
Yeah. Lockout ends. You go back to New York. You get to play with Henrik Lundqvist, who, I mean, that guy, he changed the Rangers pretty much by himself. So, do you have any cool stories about the King or anything? Did you know that he was going to be an immediate impact player almost immediately, or what can you tell us about Hank?
Nobody knew anything about Hank. He just showed up as a guy. Nobody even knew his background. We had a Swedish goal. We had Kevin Weeks, I think, as a starter, and Hendrik show up as a backup. And we didn't know that he won a Swedish league. He was MVP there. We didn't really knew anything. And then suddenly, I think in weeks he got hurt, and Henrik started playing, and he started playing very good. And it was like, wow, this kid is not bad. And then suddenly, 12 years later, he's a Hall of Fame goalie, or more than 12 years. I don't know how long he played. So it's amazing. I think Hendrik changed the way the goalies play, and even going after Richter, all his records and beating them. It's amazing. That's the reason they retired his jersey, and that's the reason he's a legend, New York Rangers legend.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of New York Rangers legends, I wanted to ask you about two guys that were youngsters that came up towards the end of your career, Ryan Callahan and Sean Avery. I mean, totally different cats personality-wise, but both had a very big impact on the Rangers and in the NHL, you could argue with Avery. I was just curious what your impression of them was as youngsters.
Well, I think Avery was a character player. He reminded me of Matthew Barnaby, a little bit,
That's good, yeah.
but maybe a little bit more to a different level. And Callahan, I knew that was a very hard-nosed player, and I'm so happy that he had a great career. The way he played, he played hard. He was a good leader, and also, even I'm losing my spot on the team, and Dan Girardi took it. I'm so happy for him that he had an unbelievable career as a Ranger, coming from the minors, not drafted. Yep. And by me getting injured, he had a chance to play for the team. Yeah, it's nice to see guys that had a great careers, and I was in the beginning seeing them develop.
Just one moment I want to kind of bring up. And I know you're on the team, so I looked at the box score because I want to make sure you're still there. Rangers Capitals, Donald Brashear's running all over the place, and then Brendan Shanahan squares up in center ice. Like, what was that like, seeing Shanny drop the mitts with Donald Brashear? Like, I'll always remember watching that game and I just hearing, and it's Shanahan fighting Brashear. It was crazy.
Well, we knew that Shanahan was a very tough player. He fought his way out, fought his way through all his career. He became a superstar, but still he was a guy who can drop his gloves and fight. And we didn't expect him to do that, but especially he was an older player already. So, and when he did that, and also Shanny was a great leader too. He came from the winning the cups with the Detroit Red Wings, so he knew how to win. And I think that's why people fell in love with him in New York, because he didn't care how old he was. He was just playing hard, and if he needed to drop his glove, that's what he did.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the overtime goal against Buffalo. Was that slide? Was that just pure celebration, or was that something you had been doing before? That was one of the best all-time celebrations that I remember.
No, it's a pure joy. I didn't know I scored. I didn't know I shot a puck and they went in. I was just so happy, and I think I just naturally slide. I didn't realize until the pile of the players jumped on me, and I was kind of losing. I was running out of air underneath, so I started screaming for the guys to let me out because I was losing, conscious. But otherwise, it was just through, pure celebration as a kid, I guess. Scoring a big goal. I didn't really plan it. It just happened.
Yeah. Now you're still playing now. You're still out there with the beer leaguers like us.
Yeah. I play twice a week, maybe sometimes 3 times, depends. Here in Miami, it's I love the game of hockey. I might go to Lithuania in December and maybe play one more game for my home team in a professional league. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I just turned 50, so
you just had a birthday. Happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you. My mind still feels. I feel like I'm a 20-year-old, but my body, even I'm in shape, but I still I have a lot of injuries from before, so. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe not. I don't know. I just feel like, I love playing the game, and why not?
What about the old timers for the Winter Classic, the Penguins and the Bruins at Fenway Park?
Are they playing this year?
Yeah. You'd be great out there for that one.
Oh, that would be
I don't
unreal.
know. Listen, it's a lot of. Maybe they're gonna invite me. Why? Of course, they're gonna play if they can invite me.
This is they're doing the retro jersey too. This is the old Penguins jersey, like when you played the Robo Penguin,
Yeah. So far, nobody emailed me. So maybe they already. Maybe I didn't make the cut.
Maybe Cam Neely doesn't want to get hip checked. Maybe that's what it is.
No. Yeah. Probably not.
So here's a couple just random questions for you. Did you have like a specific pregame meal?
Yeah, I ate rice and fish all the time.
Rice and fish, that was your go-to?
Salmon, yeah.
Okay, here's one for you. You can throw your own music festival concert, and you can pick 3 bands or artists dead or alive to play your show. Who's playing your show?
One thing, Mumford and Sons,
Okay.
then Pearl Jam, and Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a concert, man.
Yeah.
Is there anyone playing today that reminds you a little bit of your game? I don't know how much you still watch.
Good question.
I think you know what, Radko Gudas for the Panthers. I think he wants to play the same way as I did, but I think he's staying a little bit more back because I think the game changed. But I think he can still hit. So I think Radko Gudas, because I watch Panthers a lot because I live in Miami.
Yep.
I still, sometimes when he steps up to hit somebody, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be painful, And I don't know, it's hard. I don't watch the games as much as I used to, but when I watch it, it's fun to see guys throwing hits.
Nice. Now you a little bit about you personally. You have 6 kids, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a father of 6 kids. Yeah,
So that's a full-time job.
It is, and being married is a full-time job too.
Yeah. I have 1 kid, and I can't imagine.
With overtime. Being married is overtime.
Are any of your kids playing?
Well, I have my 3 oldest are daughters, so they play, different sports. My boys, 1 plays basketball and 2 play soccer. I feel like, hockey is such a time-consuming sport, especially living in Florida. So I took them skating many times. They all can skate, but it's just not really a good place to, to raise a hockey player. So soccer is my right now is my number 1 sport. I watch soccer almost on a weekly basis. I'm a big Man City fan. So my dream is for one of my kids to play for Man City.
So living in South Florida, are you with your free time, if you have any, are you a golf guy or a fishing guy?
I don't play golf. I used to be a big fishing guy because when I lived in Long Island, I fish all the time. I have a boat in Miami, but I don't really go out anymore because nobody wants to go anywhere. But I do a lot of running. I still run a lot on the beach in the morning. So I exercise a lot. But if I took fishing is probably my number 1 choice. Golf is terrible. I'm not into golf. The golf story, I tell you what, when I came to the United States, I bought my golf clubs. In my first year, one of the teammates, I forgot his name, Nicholas Anderson, borrowed my clubs for some kind of tournament, and he never gave me back to me. I was like, you know what, this is not for me.
That's it, done.
I'm not buying a new set, and this game sucks, so I'm not gonna invest my energy. So I took fishing in Long Island. I fished almost all the time. That was the best thing for playing for the Islanders in the mid-90s. Because we never made playoffs, so I started fishing from April until October.
Was there anything that you like, a kind of a like I don't give a fuck money that you had from signing those tickets that you just went out and bought something completely useless or something, just a complete luxury item that you didn't really need, just something that you pissed away money on? A big one. Everyone who listens to former players love those stories.
Well, a lot of things like that, but I think that my first year I bought a Versace jacket for $5,000, a leather jacket.
That'll do it.
And I thought it was so cool, And when I came to the locker room, people started making fun of me, and I don't think I will wear it again because I feel kind of shy or ashamed. I remember Al Arbor told me, "What the hell are you wearing, dude?" And then when I told him how much I pay, he was like, he almost shit himself.
Oh man. Well, Brownie, do you have any other questions for him?
I do have one. We usually do like a lightning round of questions, but we
Okay.
kind of asked you all of them. But I did want to ask you this because you had a long career. Who's the most famous person in your phone?
Oh, that's a good question.
In my phone, famous?
The most famous person. Doesn't have to be hockey. It could be anybody.
Oh shit, I don't even have anybody. Hockey, famous person. I think maybe I don't know, Nelson Peltz. It's very big businessman.
All right.
And he's been he helped me a lot in my life, especially when I played for the Rangers. He was my neighbor. So Nelson Peltz is the owner of no owner but investor in trying his daughter married to Beckham son, Brooklyn Beckham.
Well, that's how you know we're getting old when talking about Beckham's son getting married.
Yeah. So Nelson Peltz is I hang out with his kids. He's older than me, way older than me, but he's one of the famous known people that I know.
There you go. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what it was just. I mean, it was great having you. I'm always a big fan, and I can give you the ultimate compliment as a Boston Bruins fan. You were one of those guys that we always like. Oh man, I hate him, and then people would say, "Oh, how'd he look on the Bruins? Oh, he'd be fucking great on the Bruins."
You know what? I never regret anything, but I tell you something. When the Rangers gave me the contract, I had two same offers from two different teams, Boston and Toronto. And I choose the Rangers because, I lived in Long Island in New York, and I kind of love New York, so I choose to play for the Rangers. But I had a chance to be a Bruin, too.
Oh, that's the headline. Darius Kasparaitis regrets not being a Bruin. That's how we'll say it.
Can you imagine Kasparaitis playing for the Bruins?
Oh, especially that was the old Garden, the small surface. You would have killed people.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been great. You and Ray Bork would have been a pair.
Yeah, I played with Ray Burke later in my life.
Yeah.
We had a trip to Legends game in Nova Scotia with me, him, and Ale Frady. We drove the car together for like 6 hours.
Oh, God. Al the Planet Iafrady. Good Lord. That must have been some car
I couldn't
ride.
handle them anymore. I asked him to stop in one of the towns, and I took the plane to the next city.
That's awesome. Okay, you got anything Rangers? You got it for me?
I mean, this was just, you're like the ultimate guy that if I ever have kids and they play hockey, I want them to play hockey the way you played hockey. You played hard, and if like you went over the line, you back it up, and it was just. And Brownie, we talked offline. You loved to win, but I feel like you hated to lose more than that, and that was something that I always kind of respected about you. So,
I think that's an accurate statement.
Yeah, it was just awesome to have you on, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
I listen, guys. I feel exactly the same way. Still, I play hockey right now. If you interview the people I play hockey with, they're gonna tell you the same thing. I scream, I yell, I become a poor loser. I get suspended from the beer league for 2 days because I went after some old guy that told me something that I didn't really like it. My wife told me I should be ashamed of myself, so she told me to call him and apologize.
What you got to do is you got to break out that slide celebration next time you score in beer league. That's what you got.
Believe me, I do every week.
If I'm ever down in Miami, I'll stop at one of your beer league games and
just to watch.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you, guys. That was Darius
very much.
Kasparaitis. What an interview. Hell of a guy.
Okay,
Make sure to tune in next week. And, yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
Darius.